move these kids around, to move people around from city to city. Like the upcoming Super Bowl is going to be in Dallas. They're going to be coming from every state in the region to Dallas for that event because there's going to be a lot of profit margin there coming through Oklahoma on our I-35 and 40 and 44. So we're at the crosshairs of the nation. And then beyond that, there's even more. We're number one now, they say, in women incarceration. So we have fewer moms with their kids. We're number two in child abuse. Or number one in child abuse. Number two in teen pregnancy in the upper age. Number five in teen pregnancy in the younger age. We're number three in divorce. We're number four. We're number four by women that were murdered by their husbands or lovers. I think we're 7 or 8 now. They say we're number 49 in educational dollars spent. We're a low per capita income earning state. Oklahoma City was ranked last month the cheapest metropolitan city in the nation. When you start putting all that together, and if you were a recruiter trafficker, where are you going to go in this country to find vulnerable women and children, uneducated, poor people? The FBI describes this as the armpit of the nation. This Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kansas area. And then when you lay those trade routes right through the heart of Oklahoma, it answers the question, why does the Innocence Lost program continue to find Oklahoma kids being prostituted all over the nation? So we're trying to raise awareness about that factor, particularly through the internet services of how recruiters are working this area. These kids may end up in Vegas or Dallas or Houston or LA, and we think those cities have the problem until we learn that many of those young women and children are coming from the heartland.
More questions, media?
Can someone talk about the dollar amount that's on each person that's sexually trafficked?
This is Michelle with M3 Media.
Jason will probably have something to say here too. I worked with the FBI task force in Atlanta, and they really opened my eyes to the dollar amount that's going on. We have cases from back in the 80s and 90s where women and children have been sold for $20. And we have a case in Oklahoma City where we broke up a male sex trafficking ring of young boys, 11, 12, 13 year olds, that would be sold to customers in Edmond for $1,000 to $3,000 per service. So you have huge ranges of, depending upon the clientele, whether it's truck prostitution, and maybe truckers being trafficking, and talking to some light there. That's kind of a lower grade, so you're getting service much cheaper, to escort service and online sales, which is going to be much more profitable. But typically, the younger they are, the more you can charge. And so they helped me understand in Atlanta that a pimp working or trafficker with women on the street, they were getting $25 per service. But if it was a teenager, they could get $200 or $300 per service. If she was under 14, $300, $400, $500 per service. And so when they started really arresting and dealing with the situation, they were finding pimps that only had 2 or 3 minors making $600,000, $700,000, $800,000 a year, and nobody had known the probability. And that's been the huge explosion in this young age market. And we have a huge issue with the porn industry as well and the profits there.
A lot of the services at the truck stops are ranging between $25 and $75, depending on the sex act. They have found through Innocence Lost, like Mark mentioned, kids as young as 13 years old that were being prostituted at truck stops. Our message to truckers, we know that truckers obviously are employing the services of these girls and these women, but we believe that if they knew that these girls were forced, that they were there against their will, that 9 out of 10 of them would stand up and do something about it. They're good people, they're hardworking Americans. And with Truckers Against Trafficking, we've only been in operation since 2009, March 2009, and we've seen phenomenal progress with it at a grassroots movement. The truckers call themselves TAT. We're Truckers Against Trafficking. Yes, you are. You are the Truckers Against Trafficking. I'm a school teacher. I'm just helping facilitate this. They're going out, they're spreading the word. They'll ask for 50, 100 wallet cards with the national hotline number, and then they go and spread that out amongst truckers all over. They're leaving them at diners, around the truck stops and rest areas, and saying, waitresses, call this number if you see something. They are putting them out in truck stops where they go, where they have more of a say than we would as outsiders. They're going in, hey, we're your customers, we want to see these posters up, we want to see these wallet cards out, and they're spreading the word. So we hope to see all 4 million truckers of America standing up and putting it into it, because as Mark mentioned, with those trade routes all going through here, we have a huge number of girls that are being prostituted. Truckers are a transient bunch. They travel for a living, and so do the traffickers. So we know that they're going to be a force to be reckoned with.
I want to say this too, this is very grassroots, we're going to have some more questions here, but the role of the media. Lori Fulbright mentioned something a moment ago, and Mark mentioned her haircut on Facebook. Let me talk to you about this. I grew up in small town Oklahoma where everybody knew their neighbors, and if you got out of line, the neighbors would spank your butt when you were a kid. Here's where we're at with the internet. I know Jason does a lot of postings on Facebook. The real value of this grassroots movement and what happened in Atlanta and what happened in Georgia was the media made people aware because of organizations like this. And this is very much grassroots. The hashtag that we're using is HTAD 2011. And if you want to follow the links on this website that we're launching, humantraffickinginfo.org, what we want to do is aggregate all the information of the organizations that are sitting here and the abolitionist movements in Oklahoma into one location. And so if you're an abolitionist that we've not already pulled your tweet into our Twitter feed, let me know and we'll aggregate your tweet. But here's what we want to say is we want to say, media, thank you for coming out, and we want to tweet you. So if you'll use this hashtag, HTAD, Human Trafficking Awareness Day 2011, then we'll show up here, okay? And we'll aggregate your feed. Cheryl, you got a question?
We have one more question, Beth. Do we have time?
Yeah, very loud. Who are you with, and what is your question?
Okay, my name is Dorea Walker. I have a personal development business here in Tulsa, localities we're focused on the gift of knowing, accepting, and loving yourself. My question is basically, who is the masterminds behind this seem like very well put together trafficking business? I mean, I know that many prestigious businesses, Fortune 500 businesses, are supporting the porn industry, different things like that. How do we know that Procter & Gamble, Johnson & Johnson, these big, huge businesses are not actually fueling and also supporting trafficking? Do we really know who our enemies are?
Great question, great question. I'm going to let Jason with Stop Child Trafficking now address that. They've actually had a team on the ground recently, and he'll explain to you some of those connections. Jason.
I don't think there's one dominating organization that is fueling human trafficking. I think it comes from a lot of different angles. I mean, there are parents that sell their own children. There are runaways that become susceptible to this. Mafia, organized crime, they're all diversifying. The reason it's exploding and being fueled is it's low risk and it's a high profit. And when you have a culture that is fueled by images of pornography and a culture that puts more emphasis on how you look than your character, and the over-sexualized nature of dolls and videos and MTV, it all fuels it. And another thing that fuels it is just a lack of education and a lack of action. I think this has gotten just completely out of control because people get busy, or they think that this is just too big of an issue, they can't do anything about it, or it's too graphic. Part of the challenge that I have, and me and my wife have, is getting the faith community completely on board. If they got on board, and if major corporations got on board, we would really make a significant impact on this. But it's just not there yet. What we're doing here, and Michael had said earlier, the media plays such a big role. So I applaud all of you guys that have been here. I mean, we think every time we go on a show or a newspaper does something about this, it increases the awareness that we can't completely do on our own by talking to people on Facebook or whatever. So you guys, Lori, Tulsa World, Sarah from Channel 2, Fox, I mean, all you guys should be applauded, KJRH, everybody that is making an impact with this and giving a voice to these children and giving a voice to organizations that are sacrificing a lot. I mean, I bet there's not one person here that says that this is easy to do. The stories that we hear, the graphic nature of the issue that we're dealing with, when we're talking infants and children and just the psychological and physical aspect of this is heart-wrenching. So we want to thank you guys just for being here, and Michael for putting this absolutely phenomenal event together. So thank you.
For Michelle and for your answer as well, it is fueled by greed and by uncontrolled passion. When you realize that some of these children and women, they get them for zero because they have no place to go, they have no food, they have no way to take care of their children. They give them away, they sell them for something